See, he's the God of heaven, but he's also the God of Sheol. He's the God in darkness just as much as he's the God in the light. He's the God of our worst days just as much as the God of our best days. Part of our problem is we've shaped God into an image that we want him to be. And so what we want him to be is the God who changes our worst days to our best days. Right? We want him to be the God that comes into hard places and makes them better, who comes into brokenness and makes it unbroken now. And yet, what if he's the God who walks us through those things? What if he's the God that leads us into them? Because he knows that only in fire are you made into gold. Right. And only in trial and testing do you become strong. I feel like the next verses are just building upon verse 8. David writes, if I take the wings of the morning and dwell in the uttermost parts of the sea, even there your hand shall lead me and your right hand shall hold me. David seems to take us another step deeper into God's presence here. He's basically saying from the rising of the sun, so from the sky above us to the deepest depths of the sea below us, God doesn't simply meet us in those places. David says he leads us, he guides us, he protects us, and he holds us. See, it's hard for our theology to think that God isn't rescuing me from those places, he's actually taking me into them. It's hard for us to believe there is a benefit in that place. There is a help for you in that place. There is a goodness in your difficulty. In fact, there is a goodness that cannot be found outside of that difficulty. Right. Because if not, he would have led another way, right? But how did he lead Israel? And we've talked about this so many times. He led Israel from Egypt to the promised land the long way. Because they weren't ready for the short way. Because God himself said, if they face war, they'll go back. You and I, if you would have asked them, if you face battle, you think you'd go back to Egypt? They'd say, I'm never going back to Egypt. There's nothing in us that would make us go back to slavery. We're finally free. We're never going back. And yet God knows their hearts. What if I were to ask you, you think you'd ever repeat that? You'd say, not a chance. I'm done with it. I'm done for good. Sometimes God's saying, I know you think that. I know you believe that. But I know your heart. I've searched you. I know you. You can trust me. This difficult season is not to destroy you. It is to heal you. But we struggle with the idea of difficulty ever being for our benefit. We call difficult bad and easy good. And yet in the kingdom of God, it's usually flipped around. It's usually the difficult things that do the most good in our lives. And it's usually the easy things that rob the most good from our